once a Raider, bruh. Always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance cost the arm and the...
What is going on, everyone? What is going on? I am back after everything that happened to me in the last 24 hours. Your boy is back. I'm back doing videos. I'm back on YouTube, and I'm going to do this live stream just because I feel like it's about that time. I can't dwell on everything that has been going on with me in this YouTube channel, but it's your boy Darion of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, home of the Spotlight Sports Network, and I have to have my guy here, Raider J77, the newest member of the Spotlight Raiders Talk and the newest member of the Spotlight Sports Network. What is going on, man?
Yo, man, it's good. It's good to be here, man. I appreciate you guys welcoming me to the family. I'm excited. Talking Raiders is what I love to do. Here's how much I love the Raiders. My daughter's middle name is Autumn after the Autumn win. So I'm diehard Raiders fan, been forever. Bo Jackson, #1 player. I'm just excited. I'm excited to be here, man, and chop it up and talk about what we need to do to have a winning season.
Well, thank you for coming on, man. Thanks for reaching out to me to come on because I need more Raiders people on these channels, man. It's been tough, man. What's going on? I'm gonna definitely go into the chat and say what's going on to everybody. So, shout out to John Cartwright, Jamar Gaines, Anthony, Dirty Eric 1500, Keith Meeks, Prince Sean, Easy Raiders, Sun Joku. What's going on, man? I don't know if y'all noticed, for anybody that have not known, that if y'all have not seen the video from early this morning, that this YouTube channel has been hacked, but I was able to recover it and change my password and anything of that nature. If y'all have not seen the video, all the Raiders content is gone. So if you don't see any Raiders content, it's gone because it was hacked last night. But we're going to bounce back today and get this thing rolling and get that content back up. Fresh new content. I know it's old content and I have thousands and thousands of views on it, but we're going to get it back tonight. So make sure y'all share and hit the like button. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Spotlight Raiders Talk. But we want to get into this actual week's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And speaking with Raider J, he has a lot of stuff that he has going in to this game. But shout out to Sun Joku, shout out to Fierce Raider, shout out to Argo. We are going to answer some questions, but we do want to get our breakdown of it as well. So what you have so far against these Kansas City Chiefs, Raider J? What you got, man?
Hey, so my biggest thing, man, is, and I've been screaming it from the mountaintops, man, over the last 2 weeks, is that, the defense has been terrible, and that's nothing new. I mean, we've been terrible at defense for a while. Paul Gunther's definitely not getting it done, and I get that. But my biggest thing is our offense. Our offense the last 2 games has been terrible. Ball security has been horrendous. Derek Carr is playing like a backup quarterback when it comes to ball control. Yeah, he's not throwing any interceptions, but he's putting the ball on the ground and giving it up. We lucked out a couple of times. One of those fumbles that we had with Josh Jacobs was, I feel like it wasn't a fumble, and he did recover it. So, but as far as the offense playing, it's not good, man. I was looking at some of the stats here, getting ready for today, and we're just about tied with first downs. 97 first downs for the Vegas Raiders. And we're allowing 94 first downs to opponents. That's got to change, right? But it's pretty much the same. It's pretty equal as far as what the defense is allowing versus what we're getting. The third down conversions, we're 27 to 51. They're 24 48. I mean, that's exactly the same. So we're only converting as much as we're allowing the defense. So the defense and the offense seems pretty equal when you look at stats like that. So we have got to step up on offense. The offense has to start clicking. We've been down with injuries on offense, some key players, Ruggs, Trent Brown's been out. I mean, that's a huge part of our offensive line. Richie Incognito's been down. But elite offenses they find ways to make it happen. Elite quarterbacks find ways to make it happen. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, these guys make it happen with bad defenses, subpar wide receivers. They find ways to make it happen. And so Derek Carr has got to step up and change this narrative of him being historically bad in Kansas City and Arrowhead. So
that's my biggest thing, knowing that I think in his career he have not won in Arrowhead. Am I correct on that? I think he has not won in the 7 years that he's been with the Raiders. He has not won in Arrowhead. And when we do go into Arrowhead, we don't play well. We never play well in Arrowhead. It's just, me personally, I think it's a team effort. It's a team effort where special teams, offense, and defense, like, you just can't just blame the defense without blaming the offense. You just can't blame the offense without blaming the special teams. It all comes down to all three phases of the game. And when we go into Arrowhead, it's like we lose ourselves in some sort. And my problem with the Raiders offense so far is the conservative play calling from John Gruden. And people get on me about, he's not conservative. He does make aggressive plays. Yeah, but it's once in a blue moon. And when we do make those aggressive plays, we get a penalty on it. So it really comes down to, how can I say it? That Bills 4th and 2. They already knew they was going to go to Ingo or Jacobs. My question to you, Raider J, is that, do you think John Gruden needs to open up the offense a little bit more? Because Nelson Aguilar came on the scene in the last couple of weeks without Ruggs or Brian Edwards or even Waller not really playing his best against the Patriots. Do you think they need to open it up more to spread this defense out, knowing they only going to be focused on Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's got to open up the playbook. He's got to get more creative and inventive and less predictable. I mean, that's definitely a given. But the thing about it is it's a two-way street. When he does open it up, when he does get inventive, when he does go for it on 4th down, the players got to make it happen. The play has to be clean. We have to control or protect the ball in those situations. And the offensive line has to step up and do what they're supposed to do, especially when they know, when things are predictable like that. I mean, if it is predictable, block better, make the holes better, be more aggressive in the trenches. And that's going to get those 4th down conversions and all that kind of stuff. But if we can't do that, then the play calling is going to stay vanilla, and he's not, Gruden's not going to open it up, to doing, trick plays and all this other stuff. If Derek Carr is constantly overthrowing the receivers, they're not going to go long. They're going to stick with the dink and dunk and short passes because he's more accurate that way. So it's definitely a two-way street. But yes, it needs to open up.
Yeah, it is a two-way street. So I wouldn't think of it as a trick play, but I feel like if you want Josh Jacobs to be successful as a runner, you have to spread the defense in some sorts. That's when it's all about having space. And I formation is not having space. Like in that Bills game, every first down was a first down. It was a run to Jacobs. It was damn near. It was predictable. So I feel like he needs to be a little bit more innovative. Like you did bring up Keelan Doss because of injuries of Ruggs and Brian Edwards. Have to believe that Ruggs did come back today and practice today with Trent Brown. But I feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I feel like with Nelson Aguilar, John Gruden, he should have saw that Nelson Aguilar was actually getting catches and getting open. You should have been still calling his number. But I understand you want to establish the run, but the run wasn't there. We understand that the Bills have a good defense against the run. So we have to make you have to make adjustments on the go. And I thought John Gruden was the type of person that can make adjustments on the go. But in the last 2 weeks, he haven't really made any adjustments. So, for example, I don't know if you noticed this in the Patriots game, that Bill Belichick called his final timeout with 12 minutes left in the fourth, and we was only down 10. Why we didn't go no huddle in the fourth quarter? That's just my understanding. Like, you could have made the Patriots make some type of fake injury timeout because they would have been gassed. They would have been gassed. So it's some things that Gruden do is good. Some things he does is not good. But I feel like sometimes I have to question his play calling as well. I just can't put it all on Derek Carr.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. Yeah, and you're right, man. The first two games, it seemed like they came out and they were aggressive and they scored in the third quarter. You could see the adjustments being made on offense and on defense. And in the last two games, it's like night and day. The adjustments aren't there. It's the same thing over and over, beating a dead horse. Go to Josh Jacobs, throw to Darren Waller, you know. But it's true. There have been some times when Darren Waller has been open and Carr just hasn't gone to him. But that's the predictability and the lack of adjustments being made over the last couple of games. I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe he just got out coached, in the last couple of games, and he was making adjustments, but we just didn't see it because they were, adapting to those adjustments and still shutting us down. So it's that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, it definitely could be a possibility. Because this Kansas City Chiefs game, we're gonna need all the weapons that we have. Like, we need Henry Ruggs back on the field. We probably won't get Brian Edwards this week, but what's going on, Mal Gooley? What's up, man? Shout out to Mal Gooley, part of the Spotlight Sports Network. But yeah, we might hopefully we get Trent Brown back this week. That kind of help our line. Sam Young is in there, as well. So you could probably mix and match. What Tom Cable has done. He makes sure every offensive lineman play each position on the line. It doesn't matter. What's going on, Gangrene David? What's up, bro? So when it comes to this offensive line, how do you feel about this offensive line? Because how I feel about Trent Brown right now, you've been nursing a calf since the first home game, and you've been nursing this calf for too long, and you're getting paid $20 million guaranteed, and there's nothing to show for it. So how do you feel about this offensive line going into this week against a good Kansas City Chiefs defensive line? And they have very improved defense too. So how do you feel about that going into the game?
That's a great question. If we get Trent Brown back, this week and he's playing, I feel pretty good. I feel like, Richie Incognito has been missed in the run game. So, but when it comes to, the pass game, I feel like if we got Trent Brown, protecting Carr's, right side, we should be good to go. Our left tackle, he's holding it down solid. So, it really all depends on whether or not, Trent Brown can be healthy enough to play. And I get it too, man. Like, it's frustrating because he's been out a lot and he's definitely sorely been missed because, he's a Pro Bowl, world champion right tackle. So, or tackle in general. So yeah, he definitely needs to be in there. If not, I feel like it's going to be a long day. And Carr's going to have to use his legs. Carr's going to have to get mobile. He's going to have to move around because, their defense is definitely improved. John Gruden was talking about that. He was asked that in his press conference, and his response was, man, that's the best question I've heard. When they were asking him about, how he feels like Kansas City's defense has improved. So he's very, very impressed with how well they're doing. And so that's going to be a long, long day if we can't, get Trent Brown healthy, get him in there. Or these backups, man, have to step up and really, really hold it down. Because as we know, Carr is fleet of foot and he can do it, but sometimes, he gets shell shocked in there and kind of folds up. So, and he hasn't been protecting the ball very well. So
yeah, and that's another thing too. That's the only thing that I can say the downfall for Derek Carr right now is protecting the football, fumbling. But as far as I think we've seen some flashes of the 2016 Carr this season so far. We've seen it when he has a clean pocket at that. So when it comes to this offensive line, I can absolutely agree with you. We do have to play better. And I do like the fact, I don't know if you listened to the actual press conference today, but he did say that everybody was held accountable in these last 2 weeks of these losses. So I do commend Derek Carr for taking accountability of him fumbling the football. He's even leaving the stadium with a football in his hand just to make sure he can have that muscle memory to have a grip on the football. So he is taking action, and I do like the fact that they said that this team is taking accountability, but at the same time, we have to see it on the field that the accountability was taken. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, and this. So here's what we've seen from Derek Carr at Arrowhead versus the Chiefs, going back to 2014. 2014, he's 27-56 for 222 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. 2015, he's 21 for 33 for 194 yards, one touchdown, one interception. 2016, he's 17 for 41 for 117 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. 2017, 24 for 41 for 211 yards, one touchdown, and two interceptions. 2018, 24 for 33 for 185 yards, zero touchdowns, two interceptions. And then last year, he was 12 for 21 for 152 yards, zero touchdowns, and two interceptions. That's not going to cut it. So we've got to see better, better execution and better, play completion and all that kind of stuff. And like you said, man, it has to do with it has to do with play calling. It has to do with adjustments. It has to do with how Derek Carr plays, how he runs the offense, how the offensive line moves, how the defense works. I mean, everybody as a whole has got to step up. We have to be damn near perfect in order to pull off a W at Arrowhead Stadium against the reigning Super Bowl champions, man.
Yeah, because this, mind you, like I'm even scared to pick against my Raiders this week. I'm scared. I'm scared when I do my weekly pick 'em. Like I don't even know if I want to pick them because I want to go to the defensive side of the ball because I've been saying this. I've been saying this for a while now. This defense has been our Achilles heel year after year after year. And I've been saying, like, I told a lot of people when we hired Paul Guttner, I wasn't a big fan of the hire. I was not a big fan of the hire because he was not that successful in Cincinnati. He had one good year as a defensive coordinator in Cincinnati, and that was it. That was it. And I just feel like now you keep putting Eric Harris in a position where he's getting beat every time. I think it's time for Paul Guttner. You need to switch it up. I say put LaMarcus Joyner where he's strong at. That is the safety position. You have him playing a slot corner that he never played in his career. Not in high school, not in college, and not in the pros. He never played a slot corner. So for him to be playing slot corner and having Eric Harris get beat every week, missing tackles, going on a wrong angle. We see Jonathan Abram do it too, but Eric Harris been getting the most of that more than Jonathan Abram. I can say that. So when it comes to our defense, especially on our back end, what needs to happen for us to get better on that back end? Because I know Damon Arnett is going to be out for amounts of weeks, knowing he just put surgery on his thumb. So what you think as far as our back end go? What needs to happen for us to be successful against the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, when it comes to the safeties, man, they've got to tackle. They got to stop getting beat. They got to stop taking poor angles. I mean, right now we've allowed 8 rushing touchdowns to opposing offenses and only 5 passing touchdowns. I mean, think about that for a second. 8 rushing touchdowns. And anybody who's watched the game this season, they have, when running backs get past that, get past the first level and they get to that second level, tackles aren't happening, and so they've got to clean that up, man. They've got to be able to stop that from happening because they're scoring like crazy on us. In a passing league, we've allowed 3 more touchdowns to running backs than we have to wide receivers and tight ends. I mean, that's, that to me, that's remarkable, so definitely tackling. I mean, as far as coverage, the coverage definitely has to be, tighter, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, we've gotten 1,046 total passing yards and we've allowed 1,001, so that's not terrible, when it comes to cornerback coverage. I mean, we've been, for the most part, for those first 2 games, we were playing high powered. So I don't think that, our coverage is horrible. Definitely Arnett being out, he is definitely missed. But I think ultimately it comes down to cleaning up the play, tackling, taking better angles, and just discipline, really, just discipline. And I mean, and if you look at some of the tape, man, you can see like these guys are some of them are huddled 4 and 5, players together, in the backfield, like, and you've got wide receivers by themselves on islands.
I seen that. I seen
Yeah,
that picture
it's-
in the Facebook group
Yeah.
where we had like 5 people in one area. We had a wide receiver running this way and a wide receiver almost in the opposite end zone. 2 wide receivers wide open. I was like mind bottled when I saw that picture. I didn't even want to comment because I'm like, I'm not even surprised. It's Paul Guntner's defense we're talking about. I'm not surprised.
It's the defensive scheme, and it's people not knowing where they're supposed to be. It's like everybody, like it reminds me of like one of those football movies where guys are just running into each other. Players are running into their own players. It's just like it's kind of a joke. It sucks. I mean, even Coach Gruden said in the press conference today, when he was talking about our defense, he was like, and how poorly we're playing. He's like, hey, I hope I didn't make you guys sick, by bringing up how terrible our defense has been. So it's just cleaning it up, knowing where you're supposed to be, knowing what your job is. Don't try to do more than what you're supposed to be doing, and tackle, wrap up, tackle. Stop trying to take people's heads off and just get them to the ground. Because
that's another thing too. Like we signed Jeff Heath in the offseason, and we all know that he's a ball hawk. We've seen it in Dallas. Why Paul Gunther is not using him as safety? Why you not benching Eric Harris? Like, even if you want to keep, Joyner at the slot corner, which I disagree with, but if you brought in another safety and you got rid of Demarius Randall and you got rid of Prince Amukamara in training camp, why not get Jeff Heath a shot? What you think about that?
Oh man, at this point, I try anything, like you just change it up. You know what I mean? Because you like seriously though, like like I say, kind of tongue in cheek, but like seriously, first of all, what do you got to lose? You're one of the worst defenses in the league right now. So try something different, shake it up, put somebody in there and with some fresh legs who's ready to prove something, and put it on them. Like, look, man, this is your opportunity. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to prove that you belong here. And I mean, dude, that motivates people. So I say go for it, man. Try it out and see what happens.
We have a few people in the chat saying Jeff Heath ain't no better. Move Isaiah Johnson to safety. I mean, we don't see much of Isaiah Johnson at corner. I say we give him a shot at corner and see what he can do. Because Nevin Lawson he's not getting it done for me. Nevin Lawson is not getting it done for me on the opposite side of Mullen. Mullen's been playing okay, but I think Nevin Lawson was getting beat. Amik was getting beat a lot last week too, playing that slot corner. So we got a few holes that we need to fill, and I feel like us being so young and getting rid of Randall and getting rid of Mukamara, even though Mukamara has a history of not playing well in the league, is still a veteran on there that's been in this league for a long time. I don't think anybody outside of Eric Harris or Jeff Heath has been in the league longer than 3 years, in my opinion. I'm thinking Jeff Heath's been in the league a little bit longer, but Randall's been in the league for what, 4 years. Prince Amukamara about 4 or 5 years. That's a little bit more veterans than what we have on our back end. So do you think, like, as far as Prince Amukamara, do you think we should have kept him? Keeping Randall as well. Do you think we should have kept those guys just for like a veteran aspect, not really an impact aspect?
Man. So here's the thing: when that whole thing went down, and people were asking, Mayock, like basically like, what the heck is going? What are you doing, man? He said that they wanted to keep Harris because of character, as far as the locker room is concerned, and that he was the kind of player, when it comes to hard work and all that kind of stuff that they were looking for, because they're still trying to change the culture. They got a lot of young people, a lot of, rookies, obviously. I mean, we have 2 rookie starting cornerbacks, so they want somebody that could do that. I don't know what the situation was, with those other two guys and why they weren't good enough in that area. But I think they kind of rolled the dice. I think they kind of, I don't know, maybe they bought the Kool-Aid from Harris last year. But somebody mentioned something in a podcast, and it rings true to me. And they basically were like, last year we were so terrible that Eric Harris, being a rotation guy at best, looked really good. So if you buy the Kool-Aid and you got a guy who's just average playing on a really terrible defense, of course he's going to look better because he's the best player out there, because the majority of everybody is just terrible, right? So
Yeah.
So I think really maybe they just bought the Kool-Aid and the character that Eric Harris has. I mean, the guy's a great person. We saw that last year, with his family and hearing his story and everything like that. The guy's a great person, but he's rotation at best. And I mean, I think they took a gamble. I think they kind of, were hoping that he was going to do well. And well, we see that it's just not, that's not going to happen. So we definitely need some help there. And I don't know where we're going to find it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's the other thing too, is that this offense or this defense is really young and everybody's like, we got a lot of new players and, they need some time to mesh and gel and figure each other out, and learn each other's, learn each other's tendencies and things like that. So, and that just happens with time, but.
Yeah, it definitely happens with time. And, I just feel like if you're going to play a player that has that talent, you got to put them where they're strong suited at. You can't
Absolutely.
put people in out of position. And that's what I think Paul Guttner put people out of position, to play a position that they never played before, to just play that position now. And you see that it doesn't work out that way. So either give Jeff Heath a chance at slot corner or at safety, or make LaMarcus Joyner go back to safety, because that's where LaMarcus Joyner made his money and got his money, because of the success that he had with the Rams playing that safety position. So I don't understand why you want to move him from safety and make him play something that he never played before ever in his career.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And that's my problem with Paul Guttner. Like, even when Nick Kowalski went down, I know Corey Littleton is not really a middle linebacker type of signal caller, adjusting. He's that type of person, but you put him there in an uncomfortable space where you had two other linebackers that could have, like McMullen would have did that, or Morrow would have played the middle. But Corey Littleton, that's not his strong suit. You know what I'm saying? So you got to put people in where they're going to succeed at. So as far as the front seven go, we all know that Maurice Hurst is on. I'm not going to say it because they're going to put the thing on YouTube about the whole Rona thing, but he's on the list for that. So when that news coming out about that, how you feel now, knowing that Malik Collins haven't really lived up to the hype in the last 4 weeks? How you feel about Maurice Hurst being on that list? Because he contracted it. So how you feel about that? Like, do you feel like it's going to be a more defensive rotation now since Hurst is out?
I mean, well, he's definitely one of, if not the, highest ranked defenders on our team right now. I mean, he's playing really good football. So for him to be gone, I mean, I feel like he should be getting a lot more burn. I feel like he should be getting a lot more snaps. And I know that I'm not alone when, that most of Raider Nation feels the same way. They're seeing the same thing I am. So not having him, that's a huge loss for us. But next man up. This is the world that we live in right now, and it sucks. This whole virus and stuff like that. It's ruining people's lives. Now it seems to be ruining the football season. You guys have to forgive me. I've got my dogs here, and they're a little excited right now, so you might hear.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
But man. It's next man up. You gotta, you have got to fill in the gaps. But I don't know. I'm not feeling very confident because, like you said, when it comes to putting people in places and and moving people around. Paul Gunther just doesn't seem to be the guy to be able to do that. I mean, it's possible that he was fighting for Eric Harris and saying this guy is going to be, and Gruden and Mayock trusted him. I mean, we see it, like you said, he's putting people in places, and you're just scratching your head like, what the heck, like that doesn't make any sense. So I'm not feeling super confident about that, and I don't think I'm alone. So.
Yeah, I think the whole nation is with you when it comes to Paul Gunther, because like I looked at this game against the Buffalo Bills and I'm like, it's 3rd and 6 and you have your receivers at least, I mean, not your receivers, you have your corners at least 8 to 10 yards back on a 3rd and 6. I'm not understanding what your scheme is there. That's easy pitch and catch for Josh Allen. All they got to do is get to the sticks, and while we're backing up another 5 yards, so that's technically 15 yards back. Like, why we're not playing press? Like why we're not doing that? I mean, if you look at it, Cole Beasley is not I mean, he's a good wide receiver. Don't get me wrong, but it was a threat that he was not a threat to a point where he could beat you over the top. The only receiver that they really had that really could have beat us over the top was Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs demolished us. I think he had like 6 catches for 112 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I think a touchdown too. So it's just so much going on with this defense, and it has to be straightened out. It has to be straightened out. But before we get into any other topics here, I want to shout out to Docs ENT, that's AKA Graphic Raider. I don't know if y'all heard the intro, but he does have the video out called I think it's called Soul Nation, if I'm not mistaken. But it's once a Raider, always a Raider. He got the video out in front of Allegiant Stadium. Is awesome. Make sure y'all check the link in the description for that video or the song itself. So shout out to him for letting me put the music in the intro for that as well. So let's try to do key matchups. What is the keys to victory to go into Arrowhead and get a W? What is the keys to victory with our defense versus their offense? What is the keys of victory for our defense?
For me, I feel like I said it before, tackling, playing clean, not making, big, huge mistakes, where we're allowing them to get first downs because of penalties. But I think the pass rush, we've got to put pressure. We got to put pressure on oh my gosh, why is his name escaping me? Patrick Mahomes. Sorry. We got to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, man. Get him uncomfortable. Get him running around. I mean, he's known to throw interceptions. He's not a perfect person. He's not a perfect quarterback. He's elite, but if you can get pressure on him and you can make him uncomfortable, he'll go and he'll make crazy throws and stuff like that. And that gives the opportunity for the defense, to get turnovers. So I think our pass rush has got to step up. We've got to tackle. We've got to play clean and not make mistakes, not get penalties.
That's my biggest thing too, because even within the first couple of games, we was very disciplined as far as like not getting flags and not getting penalties to move the sticks. Now, the last 2 games, we played very undisciplined football. Very undisciplined football. Like, even though the touchdown got called back by Nelson Aguilar, it got called back. Colton Miller, what a player, illegal player or illegal formation or something like. Oh, that was the illegal formation play that we talked about, which it wasn't an illegal formation. We had 8 players on the line. It was an illegal formation. They called that penalty. The call on Colton Miller for the block in the back. I thought
that was terrible.
That was a BS call. It was the most BS call I've seen. He barely got touched, so the guy flopped. Whoop-de-doo. But we gotta play against the rest as Raiders fans. We gotta play against the rest. It never fails. But my keys to victory for the defense versus the offense: let's sustain Patrick Mahomes and Clyde Edwards. That guy at running back. If he has a field day on us, it's going to be a long day for our Raiders defense. They do have the other Williams there, John. I think his name is Damian Williams. I'm not mistaken, but they do. I think they have him as well, if I'm not mistaken, because I know they had 2 Williams on their running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been balling. He has been balling. Like, we let Singletary run all over us. We let Rex Burkhead and those guys run all over us. So I feel like the key to victory is sustaining the Kansas City Chiefs running backs and Patrick Mahomes, pressuring him, making him feel uncomfortable, and making him feel that he has to throw the ball faster than what he has to throw it on as far as timing. Now, what is your key to victory for our offense versus the Kansas City Chiefs defense?
So for the offense, I'm gonna, like I said, I've been screaming it from the mountaintops. Ball security, no offensive turnovers. No interceptions, no fumbles. Take care of the football. Keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Own the time of possession. That's vitally important. We can't be doing this 3 and out nonsense. Or like I said, turnovers. So they've got to do that. We've got to establish the run game. It's our run offensive has not been very good the last couple of games, so that needs to improve. If we can establish the run, then we can control the clock. Gruden does. We see the first 2 games of the season. Gruden's play calling was so much better when we were able to establish the run. So much better. And not everybody's perfect, so we got to play our strengths. And our strength is if we can establish the run. Gruden's play calling is better. The defense has less time that they have to spend on the field. We can start pinning our ears back, especially if we get up early, because Derek Carr plays better when the run game's established as well. If we can get up early, we can, kind of pin our ears back on defense and really go after Patrick Mahomes. So it's both sides of the ball have got to play better, but I think it all really starts with our offense and making sure that we're scoring points. So
I have to agree. When it comes to the first 2 games for the Raiders, you've seen a lot of stretch plays go for Josh Jacobs for him to cut back and find a lane in the cutback lane if it wasn't nothing out on the outside of that stretch play. I haven't really seen stretch plays in the last 2 games. You have Derek Carr in the shotgun, where you have Josh Jacobs right next to him running outside zone plays where you can't really – I don't know if John Gruden saw how he played in Alabama, but if you look at Josh Jacobs at Alabama, he played north-south. He was not an east and west type of running back, and you made him that the last 2 weeks. And I did not like the fact that, you could have him there. I don't mind that, but just for manageable downs that we can give that man a stretch play, get that man running downhill. But hold up, I gotta plug in my laptop, so give me 1 second here. My laptop's about to die. Hold up.
Hey, it's not a problem, man. You're right, though. When it comes to Josh Jacobs running up the middle, it all starts with that offensive line. And we all know that the last couple of games, the offensive line has been banged up. We've been missing pieces. And so we've actually, I saw somebody had posted some stats, and I don't remember the stats exactly, but I know that we're like one of the last teams in total amount of yards per carry going up the middle right now over the last couple of games. And I think that really has a lot to do with our offensive line. So the offensive line, if we can get Trent Brown back in there, that's going to help immensely. Pray that Richie Incognito comes back soon. I don't think he's going to be in for this Sunday, but Denzel Good's got to step up and he's got to play to his name. He's got to play good, and we've got to get that run established up the middle and get those holes open because once Josh Jacobs gets in there and he gets his feet planted, it's curtains, man. He'll break 2 or 3 tackles. So,
and I feel like that.
Go ahead.
And I feel like with Josh Jacobs, I feel like we need to do. Knowing that Josh Jacobs is a little banged up, I think we need to start doing that running back by committee.
Yep.
Knowing you get Devontae Booker a few more carries. Now you brought up Theo Riddick, where Theo Riddick is another running back that could catch the ball out the backfield with a Jalen Richard. So you have 3 other running backs that you could rotate and give Josh Jacob a breather so he don't have to take the pounding on every first, second, and third down. You have 3 other running backs on the active roster that suits up now, and you seen glimpse of Theo Riddick in the Bills game. We seen it. We seen that he got that one big play for like 12 yards, and then you took him right out the game. That's why I keep saying it like it's a broken record. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and you got a great fullback in Alec Ingold. Utilize him. Utilize him for blocking. Utilize him in the run game, in the short pass game. I mean, it's the guy is good. I mean, he's a good fullback. I mean, he hurdled an entire. I don't know how tall that dude was, but he hurdled straight over him.
He might be the best fullback in football. He might be the best fullback in football.
Yeah, and that's where, and you know what, we go right back. That's where the opening up the playbook and getting creative and doing some stuff that's unpredictable. And I know John Gruden can do it. And I don't know what the holdup is, and I don't know what the problem is, but it's unbelievably frustrating as a fan.
It's definitely frustrating. And looking at this injury report, I don't know. The injury report has been released, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 players on the injury report. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4 players that fully went through practice today. You had 4 players that didn't participate in practice, but I don't know why I say he did not participate, knowing that Trent Brown did participate in practice today. Rico Gafford was limited. Jonathan Hankins was limited. Marcus Jordan was limited. Nevin Lawson was limited. And that's what I think that really hurts us with this injury report, because they're not getting the full reps in practice. They're not getting the full reps. So according to the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't have that many people. They don't have that many people like injured like that compared to us. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 players on the injury report. Only 8 players compared to our 19 players on the injury report. So we got to get healthy, man. We have to get healthy.
We don't have an injury report. We have an injury textbook. Like, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's a lot of, that's just horrible. And hey, can I just say real quick, on a side note, when we're talking about injury, with Mo Hurst being out, with COVID, testing positive with COVID-19, I don't know if a lot of people remember, but he does have a heart, he does have heart issues, which is what put him, to fall to the 5th round. In the draft when he was drafted, and but we brought him in anyway, because he passed his physical and all that kind of stuff. So we don't really know how the coronavirus is going to affect him. So I just want to say, man, everybody, as a nation, man, let's make sure we're thinking about him, we're praying for him, all that kind of stuff, that this coronavirus does not, have a really bad effect on him, when it comes to his heart and stuff like that. So that's just a side note since we're talking about injuries and injured reserve and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, the injuries are just it's bad, man. And we've got to get healthy. We really need to relish this bye week, coming up, and we just got to get through a couple more games and then we can take a rest. But it's been bad, man, and it's really, really affected how we're doing things. So
I absolutely have to agree. I absolutely have to agree, because our schedule coming up is still tough. Like, after we play the Chiefs, we got a bye week, and then we play the Buccaneers. And then we have a Browns team that's been very impressive this year, looking good with their new head coach and that offense. You see what they did in Dallas. As a Raiders fan, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for our schedule. You have Justin Herbert with the Chargers, and they're looking good. They're barely losing to like Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Justin Herbert is putting up numbers every single week. And I see us beating the Broncos. We can beat the Falcons. We can beat the Jets. It's a possibility we could beat the Colts and the Dolphins. But I'm really nervous what happens here, because if we could get healthy after that bye week, we will be good. I think he'll open it up more. And now if Henry Ruggs is back in the lineup, but me as a coach, I think so innovative sometimes, knowing that I have a speedster in Nelson Aguilar and have Henry Ruggs as a speedster. You're going to have to cover at least one of them. So if I'm John Gruden, right? If I'm John Gruden, I would have both of them on the field at the same time. That's just me, knowing that you don't have no Brian Edwards with the injury, where he had to his ankle. Put Nelson Aguilar on the opposite side, or put Zay Jones on there, and put Nelson Aguilar in the slot where you have speed. Most of these corners cannot keep up with Ruggs or Aguilar when it comes to speed.
And you got Third and Renfro in the slot too as well.
Right.
I mean, and then you got Darren Waller, as a tight end. I mean, there's so many. Josh Jacobs is a running back, and we're pretty deep when it comes to running back. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be winning games. And it's funny that you had mentioned, we're playing Dallas and we're playing the Browns and stuff like that. And I did some research on how many points per game average the defenses are allowing through those first 4 games. And Dallas and Cleveland are right there with us. 25 plus points per game are being allowed from their defense. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure Dallas is one of the worst. It's like 31. I think it's like 31 or 32 points a game, something like that. So when it comes to beating those teams, man, we have got to get touchdowns. We can't settle for field goals. Their defenses are susceptible, but we have to score against them. And if we don't score against them because of our defense being so young and the injuries and them trying to figure stuff out, and apparently we have a subpar defensive coordinator. The offense has got to step up and score touchdowns and keep the other offense off the field. That's the only way we're going to, especially until we get back healthy. That's the only way we're going to get through, man. Offense has got to keep playing almost perfect. So,
yeah, we have to play almost perfect. And people, Icy_Nate says the fact that Rico Gafford barely gets any snaps. For what I've seen with Rico Gafford is that he was inactive last week, but that's another speedster that needs to get healthy that you can mix and match with on the offensive side. You did trade Lynn Bowden Jr., which I hated that in my personal opinion, because I followed Lynn Bowden Jr. I actually did a pre-draft story on him on this channel, which it got deleted. If y'all have not know, my channel was hacked and all my Raider content is gone. So we're starting from ground zero. And that video had about 5,000 views on it, why the Raiders should have drafted Lynn Bowden Jr. And we end up drafting him and then we trade him. That's another player that could have been an offensive weapon for Carr. Son Joku said Rico sucks. Sorry, but come on. Rico, I think I can't say that Rico sucks if we don't see enough of him. Would you agree, Raider J?
Oh yeah, definitely.
If we don't see much of him, we can't say that he sucks if we don't see much.
Yeah, I mean, some people could say, well, okay, well, we haven't seen much, and that's enough for me. I mean, obviously, if we haven't seen much, they don't want to use him much, But you can't make a judgment off a small sample size. We definitely need to see more burn and get more tape on him before we can make that, make that assumption. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we haven't seen him much, that makes me nervous. So, it just if there's no tape, how can you say whether somebody is good or not? I mean, Zay Jones has been pretty decent, and before when he got traded, everybody was like, "What the heck, man? He's terrible." Like, there's a reason why the Bills don't want him. But he's not going to be consistently your number one guy. But when it comes down to it, I mean, he's got a touchdown, on the year, so he's definitely serviceable.
Speed kills, in my personal opinion. Speed kills, and you have the speed to get over the top on these corners. Most of these corners are not as fast as the receivers, especially our receivers that we have. So if you could learn how to mix and match Rico with Aguilar or Aguilar with Ruggs or with Ruggs with Rico, that'll be something to look into if I'm a head coach and I'm a play caller. But just going straight into that, my next question to you is, do you think John Gruden should give up his duties of calling the offense and hire an offensive coordinator? Me personally, I think so. Because John Gruden is, I don't know if you see it, but from his offense, I see a 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl champion offense. I see it. We are in 2020. Offenses got more innovative. It got more quicker. It got a little bit different now. The way the rules has changed since 2002. Do you feel like he needs to go and get an offensive coordinator and let him just be a head coach, and then we have a actual play caller?
You know what? I'm not ready to make that call yet. I'm not ready to say yes yet because of how many injuries we have on the offensive line. Because like I said before, that first two games when we were healthy on our offensive line was healthy. We had Ruggs. I mean, Edwards out there. The play calling. I mean, it was night and day, man. It was night and day from last year, and it was night and day from the last two games. It looked really good. I was highly impressed, and there was a lot of people. I mean, the national media even was highly impressed with the play calling. So I'm not ready to make that call yet until we have all of our guys healthy. We've got all of our starters starting, and then we get a little bit more time to see how Gruden operates this offense like that. Because if we're taking the first two games, my answer is no. Like he's great. When we're talking about the last two games that we just played, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Have him bring in somebody, to call the plays and him, put down that job. But I'm not ready to make that call yet.
Yeah. I found this article not too long ago on I don't know if you read justblogbaby.com. They do have some great articles on there. It was an article about John Gruden calls Derek Carr the biggest reason that the Raiders could upset the Chiefs. So it talks about how how we started off to an 0-2 start, and us beating New Orleans at home in prime time, and it's telling us what Carr needs to do, as well, knowing that Ruggs has returned to practice, and they saying that most likely they saying that it's a possibility that Ruggs can play this weekend, which that would be huge for us. Hopefully, I wish Trent Brown could be huge, huge to come back for us too. Um, Brian Edwards, he's been placed on injured reserve, knowing that we dropped two straight. But this is my thing with John Gruden. Carr could be the reason that we could upset, but we gotta understand that Carr is 0-6 at Arrowhead. He has a hill to climb if he wants to make an upset and beat the Chiefs this week. It's a lot of things that he's going to have to do. Be more secure with the football. Step up in the pocket. I mean, he started stepping up in the pocket last week against the Bills. He started actually scrambling more, like we saw the 2016 Derek Carr. There's going to be a lot of things that needs to be done for Carr to hit that hump, but the defense is going to have to help him as well. How do you feel about what John Gruden said about Derek Carr being the biggest reason that we could upset the Chiefs this weekend?
The thing. Here's my stance on Derek Carr, and I think a lot of Raider Nation agrees with me. You got the Carr haters, you got the Carr stands. We all know that, but then there's a large group of us. I feel like the unspoken large group of us that are in the middle, and Carr can either be the reason why we beat them or the reason why they beat the crap out of us. And that's the frustrating thing about Derek Carr is that he's either great or he's not. And some people, and I happen to agree with this opinion, is he has to have everything perfect. We have to have a good offensive line. We have to have all of our starting wide receivers. The run game we have to be able to get that established. John Gruden has to be able to call, the plays that he plans to call. Everything has to work perfectly around Derek Carr in order for him to be the reason why. Now, when he's in that situation, he performs, and he can do that. I mean, look how many comeback wins we have, with Derek Carr. I mean, he can definitely do the job if everything around him is perfect. But if it's not, then he's the reason why we lose it. I mean, we've seen that over the last, two games. What is he? He leads the league in fumbles right now. So if things break down around him and he doesn't have everything perfect, we'll lose. And that's where I'm at when it comes to that. So I agree with John Gruden, but there's more that John Gruden hasn't said, and he won't say, because he's trying to keep Carr with confidence. So he's not going to come out and say Carr sucks. That's just
Yeah, he's
not.
not going to come out and say it. And we all know John Gruden. He sugarcoats a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
things.
he's a media guy. He was a media guy for 10 years. So
Right. He's going to sugarcoat a lot of the questions. We saw it in the interview today on the Las Vegas Raiders presser on Facebook and on YouTube. We saw like you see sometimes he'll praise Derek Carr and then the next time be like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is like the best quarterback in football and praise him too. He's just keeping it short and sweet when it comes to these interviews. Um, I'm just pretty nervous about this week. What is your actual prediction, like score, or what is your prediction going into this game? Because I'm still trying to wrap my head around if I want to pick my Raiders to get the upset. But the last 2 weeks, I picked them to get an upset, and they didn't do it to me. So, what is your prediction going into this game?
all right, so I'm gonna make a prediction, but I'm gonna make it with a caveat. If if Ruggs is healthy and Trent Brown is healthy, and both of them go, I'm gonna go with Raiders by 3. I I can't. I want to say 34-31. It's gonna be a high scoring game,
Mhm.
um, because our offense, when our offense is clicking, and when we're at our best, we can run with anybody. We can run with any defense. And if you look around the league, defense, even with the Kansas City Chiefs, they're susceptible. They're definitely susceptible to being scored on. So yeah, I'm gonna say 34-31 if Ruggs and Trent Brown are healthy and playing. If not, I'm gonna say that we lose, and I don't even know by how much, because we could, yeah, I don't even know. I wouldn't be able to
It
tell you what
depends
the
how we
score was.
actually show up. If we
Exactly.
start off fast or we start off slow.
Yeah. So, but a lot of that depends on whether or not we've got Ruggs as a weapon, and we've got Trent Brown to help bolster that offensive line. So
I'll have to agree with you with the 31. What was it, 31-33 or something like that? Um, that you
34,
said.
30, 31.
Oh, 34-31. I have to agree with that score if Henry Ruggs and Trent Brown is in the lineup. I have to agree with that. I feel like we need to establish the run in here to get over the top if Ruggs going to be in this game. We have to establish the run with all three running backs. I don't care if you do a halfback screen. I don't care if you do a halfback angle that's across the middle. I don't care if you run your stretch plays. You have to utilize all three of these running backs to make it look like it's not predictable that you just keep going to Jacobs, knowing that if you're gonna keep going to him, that's gonna make it even more predictable. You really don't have much film on Booker. You really don't have no much film on Theo Riddick to prepare for. So why not implement them in the offense? Now I feel like that 34-31 win could be it could happen. It could happen. But if they're not in the lineup, this is going to be a long night for us, a long day for us. For some reason, I don't know what's just happened with him. Just give me a second while I change the banner. I don't know what just happened there. I'm waiting for Raider J to come right back. He probably received a phone call, but yeah, at the end of the day, that's just how I feel about it in my personal opinion. Um, I feel like the Raiders can win this game if we're at full strength. But I feel like we're not right. We don't even run screenplays, Dominique. We don't even run screenplays. That's been our biggest situation that we have not run any screenplays at all. And that's something that John Gruden needs to implement in our offense for us to win. But I can say Raiders 34-31, but if our players are not the health, then we're going to lose this game. I'm sorry to say, I got to be a realistic Raiders fan. I can't go into the way we played the last 2 weeks. If things have not changed from the last 2 weeks and we play like crap this weekend, I have a lot to say. I will have a lot to say when it comes to it. So right now we are at the 1 hour mark. I see that he is back in. Just give me a second while I change this this banner here. All right, so he is back in.
Apologies, everybody.
You received a phone call?
No, I was looking at something in the comments, and I actually hit the wrong button. I went to close the comment box, and it closed the whole tab. So
Oh, okay,
fat
okay.
fingers, fat fingers. Sorry.
What's going on, Chindo? But right now, since we are at the hour mark, we are going to take questions in the chat. So if you do have any questions for me or Raider J, make sure we do that because we're going to take questions for like the next 10 to 20 minutes. We don't want to make this podcast too long because it will be an audio version as well. So we do want the people that's not actually on right now and they want to listen later. They can actually listen to it on our audio podcast, which will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor as well. So if you do have any questions for us as far as the Q&A, we open up the floor for y'all. So bring the questions on, y'all. Bring the questions on because like I said before, I don't know if you saw, I said that if we don't open up the playbook, like do some halfback screens and get our running backs involved, and our offensive line is not up to par and we're not healthy, I'm a realistic Raiders fan. Like, we might just lose this game. But if we play to our potential that we played in the first two games, we'll win this game 34-31. So that's what I said before you end up leaving. So we do have one question here, and they say, how are you guys feeling at 2-2? I'm gonna let you answer this question first, Jay. I'm gonna let you answer this question first. How you feel about being at 2-2?
You know, a quarter away through the season, with the amount of injuries we've had, and the schedule that we played with these first four games, I'm all right with 2-2. Would I like to be 4-0 or 3-1? Of course, absolutely. Could we be 4-0 and 3-1? Yes, absolutely. But I'm okay with being 2-2. You know, especially with, like I said, the injuries and some of the things that we've been facing. Yeah, we just have to fix it. It's totally fixable. We can still have a winning season. There's nothing that says we can't. So,
Right, and I could absolutely agree with that as well. 2-2 being 500 after 4 games, knowing that what our schedule looks like, people thought that we was going to be 0-4. They didn't have us beating the Carolina Panthers. They didn't have us beating the Saints, and we shocked the world in the first 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, we just didn't shock the world. So being 2-2 right now, I'm not mad at it. The fact that we're at 500 and people thought that we could be 0-4, I could take that 500 right now through the first quarter of the season. Anthony says on the next question here, he said, does Gutner get fired if the defense gets blown out like last week? Want to take it away with this one, Jay?
I'm sorry. Repeat that one more time.
He said, does Gutner get fired if the defense gets blown out in the way they play or the way they play last week?
I don't think so. Me personally, I don't think so. Going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champions, with that high-powered offense, I don't think so. That's just my opinion. I think that they give him. I think Gruden will give him at least half the season. You know, barring Mayock or Mark Davis coming and being like, he's got to go. You need to get rid of him. If Mayock could even say that to John Gruden, I think that they give him at least 8 games before they even start thinking about that.
I have to agree. I think give him 8 games and promote Ron Millinari to the defensive coordinator. You see that he did have success with the Dallas Cowboys, but once Jason Garrett got fired over there, they got rid of that whole staff. So Ron Millinari was part of it. So I think after week 8, if he does not see any improvement, I think Mike Mayock is going to pull the plug on Paul Gutner. Next question by Anthony. Do you think Trent Brown is faking injury? I'm going to go and say yes. He is faking this. I don't think he's faking it, but I think it's a calf injury. So I played with a calf injury before. It's something that you do have to heal, but it doesn't take at least 3 weeks for it to heal. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take 3 weeks for it to heal, or in my personal opinion. So I'm sitting here like, okay, what are we doing, Trent Brown? Like, You sitting there sitting iced out on the sideline while we need your help. Like you standing there, like I just feel like I don't think he's faking, but I think it's time for him to come back and stop being lazy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's faking it. I think it's a real injury, but I don't think it's as bad as he's making it out to be. I mean, Colton Miller played pretty much the entire season last year, injured. Josh Jacobs constantly plays banged up. It's about mental toughness. Are you willing to get out there and deal with what you got to deal with the pain? I mean, look at Max Crosby last season, the beginning of the season. He went out there with a balloon basically, on his hand after he hurt his hand and still played well in the preseason. So it's just about mental toughness. I don't think he's been mentally tough enough. I think he needs to get out there and he needs to do his job or, find a different profession, I guess.
Hey, listen, you keep it at 100. That's how I like it, man. You keep it at 100 here, man. Like, that's how I feel about Trent Brown. You paying him $20 million, guaranteed. You got to show for that $20 million that we gave you, So, Chindo says, with our IR list so long, who are we going to reactivate? I feel like we can reactivate Richie Incognito, depending on how that Achilles is working. Because I really want to get our offensive line back into the core. Like that first 2 weeks we barely gave up a sack on Carr. Like Josh Jacobs was running he was running his best of his time in them first 2 weeks. So I think Richie Incognito. I think Brian Edwards can come off that IR list. I don't know who else is on IR. I mean, Damon Arnett is on IR, but we won't see him for a next 6 weeks at that time. So he probably won't be back to like the end of the season, most likely. But who else would you reactivate off the IR list, Jay?
Off the IR list, I mean, I definitely agree with all of those that you mentioned. I mean, I think a lot of it. I don't know what the standard protocol for the COVID-19 is. As far as Maurice Hurst is concerned, I don't know if it's like they have to be gone for 2 weeks, or do you know?
They have to I think they have to be on quarantine for like 14 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah. So he's not coming back.
Mostly like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the biggest need. As far as if we're going to bring up somebody from the practice squad. But at this point, with the injury list being so long, I don't know who. Like who else do we? I mean, we with our wide receivers. I mean, we had to go pull in, Keelan Doss. And he was not very good last year. So I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do. I think we're just going to have to keep it where it's at, to be honest with you, and move forward and get healthy.
Right. Yeah, we just have to get healthy, and we just have to play our best football when we're healthy.
Yeah, and play really, really clean football.
Yep. Dominique 5 says, me personally, I feel like we should get a defensive coordinator like Wade Phillips or Rex Ryan and go to a 3-4 defense. We have been running 4-3 forever, and our defense is still crap. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should be going back to man-to-man coverage. 3-4 defense versus a 4-3 defense. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But I feel like the biggest shift needs to be from zone coverage to man-to-man coverage, because and that has to improve, because last game or the game before that, John Gruden said in one of his interviews, he's like, we played man-to-man coverage and nobody covered who they were supposed to cover. So I really feel like to play hard, aggressive football, you got to play man-to-man. You got to be able to pop your receiver off the line, give them something to remember, like, look, you're not just gonna come out here and run without me running with you and without some physical contact. And the same thing goes, in the trenches and stuff like that. We've got to play a more physical. And I just feel like personally, the man-to-man coverage is a lot more physical, and you can really get in there and grind noses and stuff like that. So
I feel like we should at least try a 3-4 defense if we do get a Rex Bryant or Wade Phillips, just depending on what happened with Paul Gunther. Like I would love to have Wade Phillips come in or Rex Ryan come in and turn into a 3-4 defense just to see what we can do in a 3-4 defense. Only thing is that our linebacker core, that'll put most of our depth on the field because we don't really, I mean, our depth is okay at the linebacker position, but it will put most of our depth on the field, having 4 linebackers and 3 linemen. But it's something new to try since we always do a 4-3 defense, and you never know, it might be successful in a 3-4, but it only works in a 3-4 if you have a Rex Bryant or a Wade Phillips or any other good defensive coordinator that plays a 3-4 and is successful at it. So
I will say this: if we did switch to 3-4, our defensive line has to play better.
yep.
You know, because we're not getting any pressure right now with 4 men rushing the quarterback. So our defensive line would definitely have to play better before that. I feel like before they'd even consider doing that.
And be creative in that front 7. Like I don't know if you don't see it, but I see that we're just bully rushing. We're not doing any stunts. We're not doing anything to create space for us to get to the quarterback. So if you do want to do a 3-4, then you could probably run some stunts with the linebacker / defensive tackle. You never know. But it got to start with the 4-3 first since we got Paul Gunther.
Yep.
So the next one is what about Olsen? Does he get the boot also if we lose? Olsen don't even call the offense at all, do he?
No, I mean, from what I understood, he's more of an analyst. You know, he basically breaks it down and gives Gruden a list of here's all the different things that we could run based on, this analysis or what, whatever adjustments. He's basically just he's like a advisor,
Yeah, he's
but no,
more
he's
like
not
analytical type of person.
right. Yeah, he's up in the booth, just as assisting John Gruden, basically.
All right, so Dominique Foss says, and don't say we don't have the personnel for 3-4 because obviously we don't have the personnel for the 4-3.
Exactly.
But there's
That's
nothing
exactly
wrong
my
in
point.
thinking about trying, There's nothing wrong in trying something new,
There's nothing. We can't get any worse. It's all
Right.
uphill from here. So
You can't get any worse from here. You really can't.
Dominique 5, he gets the funniest comment so far in my book. He's got my vote.
All right, so I'm trying to look at the questions here. If there's any more in the chat, let's go. I see Naismith's commenting like crazy. Sacks don't mean a player is better. Dominique 5 says, well, Hill short isn't a run stopping DE like I think like Cleveland Farrell. I would judge Key off of sacks only. Oh, good question. Would you sign Earl Thomas?
Yes.
There's a few people out there been speculating about a few safeties that need to come to the Raiders. Eric Reed, Eric Weddle, Earl Thomas, and there was another safety, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't mind all 3 of those. Earl Thomas, I know he has some character issues on why he's still a free agent. So is Eric Reed. Eric Reed, he has the whole a lot of stuff that kept him out the league. Eric Weddle's thinking about coming out of retirement. Out of those 3 right now, and I know Earl Thomas, I would love to get Earl Thomas, but I think he's going to want the money that he had in Baltimore, which the Raiders don't have the cap space for. So
No.
if Earl Thomas did decide to take a little smaller contract, but Eric Weddle wants to get something cheaper and just want to come back and play, would you go with Eric Weddle or you still would go back with Earl Thomas?
If Eric Weddle could, if he passed, the workouts and he did well in the workouts, as far as character is concerned, I mean, I think the guy's got great character and, he was a great player. Does he have any burn left in him? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but if he can pass the physical and he looks really good, I say go Eric Weddle. I say yes to Earl Thomas too, but with a caveat meaning that, if you look at Jonathan Abram, right? and the attitude and the way that he played coming in, and how they've been able to coach him and really get him to kind of, for lack of a better word, not be such an a-hole, because he kind of was, like
Right.
if you go back to look at Hard Knocks when he first started, he had that chip on his shoulder, and he had that attitude and that swag about him. Maybe that's all Earl Thomas needs. Can we get him for cheap? Maybe. I mean, nobody's beating his door down, obviously, to have him come in. I mean, they wouldn't even take him in Houston. I mean, so we could probably get him for cheap, but that would mean that he would have to come in, clean his nose up, or keep his nose clean, and keep that fiery, aggressive play, but just like Jonathan Abram, take it down, talk smack, but there's a certain point where you gotta draw the line. You can't be fighting with your other teammates and stuff like that. So,
and that's my only big concern about signing Earl Thomas, because you got to be there for the team. You just can't be there for yourself. And I feel like fighting other players that's on your team during training camp, it's going to get heated. It's going to get physical. That's part of training camp. You got to get back to hitting. We had a weird offseason for all 32 NFL teams, not just the Raiders, but all of us. We all had a weird offseason. And me personally, fighting with your own teammate and not trying to make up and be like, oh, I apologize, or just let's go to the next play. And like, it's a brotherhood. Earl Thomas didn't do that for me. He didn't give me that. Like, that's why I feel like it was more than just the fight on why the Baltimore Ravens released him. And I feel like Mike Mayer I feel like he wants to pull the plug, but he's nervous on signing Earl Thomas. So I feel like Eric Reed could be the next option, or Eric Weddle if he passed all the workouts.
Yeah, I think Earl Thomas could. John Gruden and Mike Mayock are men's leaders. Like they know how to lead men. AB was that guy. Nobody was going to help him. You know what I mean? Like, that guy was a lost cause. Is Earl Thomas a lost cause? I don't know. But if he's not, I mean, if you look at some of the, look at Darren Waller and what he was dealing with, and now he's on the Raiders and he's thriving. Look at Richie Incognito. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, don't sign him. Stay away from him. What are you doing? That's crazy." And I mean, the guy is playing great, and he's doing what he's got to do in his personal life. Off-field issues are gone. So if anybody can do it, I think John Gruden and Mike Mayock can do it. But is he a lost cause? I don't know. That's for them.
I mean, he does have a history where, when Earl Thomas broke his leg, he had he put the middle finger up at the Seattle Seahawks sideline, getting carted off. So there's a lot of stuff that he did do. But I mean, if he could turn his life around and be a Raider and wear that silver and black with pride, then I can see us getting Earl Thomas. That's not a problem. Mario says, what you guys think about Vontaze Burfict being in Vegas? I miss Vontaze Burfict, honestly.
So do I, man. I miss him so much.
Vontaze Burfict. The guy was so good for our defense, and then he had that illegal hit in the Colts game last year, and it was all she wrote. But just imagine if we had Vontaze Burfict, Nick Kowalski, and Corey Littleton in our linebacking core. That's a dream linebacking core right there for me, because we never had great linebackers in a long time.
No.
It's been a long time since the Raiders had great linebackers. So I would love to have Vontaze Burfict back, but it's so much that he's been through in the NFL. I don't think Mike Mayock is going to bring him back. I would love to have him back, but what you think, Jay?
I mean, I'd love to have him back too. I mean, it was just a matter of time before, he did something to get in that much trouble because of the history. And it's an on-field issue, not an off-field issue. There's just a matter of time before they were going to, throw the book at him. They were just waiting. And I still, to this day, I honestly don't think that hit was that bad. I think that it was over-exaggerated, but because of the history, because of what he had, the violations he had made before, they were going to throw the book at him anyway. So I feel like he was on his way up, but he was just kind of set up for failure. So if I would say bring him back and see what happens, but you'd have to have it on a really, really have him on a short leash, on a short deal, on a prove it deal, basically. So.
Yeah, so I say, listen, I would love to have Montez Burfict back, man, because we got rid of Whitehead, and Whitehead is playing with the Carolina Panthers, and he ain't doing no different over there. He looked just like what he did when he was with the Raiders, so that's no different there. So, any other questions, um, for us here? So for what I've saw from Tall, I think his name is Tall Ken, and he says Ravens released Earl Thomas because his teammates was going to tease him about the stiff arm forever. Listen, that stiff arm was nasty. I can't lie. The stiff arm was nasty, and that's definitely something memorable for him as well. But if y'all we do have 21 people in the chat. So if y'all do have any more questions about us, about the Raider Nation, if not, then we get in the show and get that on and pop in and get ready for Sunday night's live play-by-play. Well, Sunday live play-by-play because it's on 1 o'clock on the East Coast, and now you got to get up extra early for the Raiders game because it's a 1 o'clock game on the East Coast. So I mean, if you up for it, we could do this like this to do the live play-by-play and reactions, do live commentary of the game. It's up to you because I know you on the West Coast and all. But
I'm up for every game, man. So I don't miss them.
Yeah, definitely can't miss them, man. But for people that don't know, I'm gonna just throw it out there again. For people that don't know, that my channel was hacked last night, where all the Raiders content was gone. I know y'all have not seen any Raiders content on my channel until now because we have some low life person that doesn't have a life, that lives behind a computer, wants to mess up somebody's success. Like I said before, I really thought about not doing this show tonight, but talking to a lot of people and the support that I got when I made the video of telling people what happened to my channel, I was like, I gotta do this for the nation. I gotta do this for the Raider Nation. I gotta do it for the people that's not even a part of the Raider Nation that supports me for my YouTube channel in general. It was like, you gotta do it. You gotta do it because you feel like if you don't do it, you just giving that person more power to not do any work. So that's why I decided to do it at this time. But I do want to thank everybody for giving me the love and the support through this talk, through this time. So thank y'all. I really do thank y'all. I do thank the Spotlight Sports Network team being on there late last night, trying to figure out how to get in touch with YouTube and get all that stuff done. So it's been awesome. It's been awesome. Thank you for all the support. Really do appreciate it. Next question we have from Anthony: who does Trayvon Mullen cover? Meaning that you mean against the Kansas City Chiefs? Who would you honestly, Jay? Who would you like to see Mullen cover in this matchup?
Oh, he's got to cover Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is not, he's not one to be throwing the ball, 25 times a game, but he'll beat you on the big plays. So we have got to have our best cornerback covering their best wide receiver, which is hands down Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. The big question mark I feel like is who's Nevin Lawson covering? He's got to step up, and I forget their number 2 wide receiver's name. I actually have him on my fantasy league, but I cannot for the life of me remember his name. But Patrick Mahomes will pass to him, and he'll have one heck of a game if you don't lock him down as well. So I feel like that is the bigger question. Trayvon Mullen, he'll be able to cover Tyreek Hill. He's going to get beat sometimes. Tyreek Hill is that good. So we just have to limit him as much as we can on those big plays, those big 40, 45, 50-yard plays. Nevin Lawson, whoever else is going to be playing on the other side, whoever John Gruden decides to put in there, or Paul Guenther decides to put in there, that's the real question for me. How are you going to lock him down? So, because we're going to be distracted by Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, because they said Hartman is the second receiver. Hartman is the second receiver for the Chiefs, and I think Sammy Watkins is over there too.
Watkins, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins was another one.
He's been really good on my fantasy league, on my fantasy team. So,
oh man, so now you gotta go against you gotta want the Raiders to win, but you got to make sure Sammy Watkins gets his numbers.
Exactly. Oh, actually,
That's tough, man.
I have
That's
Tyreek
tough.
Hill and Sammy Watkins, but I don't think I'm going to play both of them this time.
Oh, okay. So
I'm 3-1 though. So
let me see. Fierce Raider said Mullins shuts Tyreek Hill down last year for 2 catches, only 19 yards. So, yeah, that's a fact. That's another hot take.
Thank you, Fierce Raider.
Yeah, shout out to Fierce Raider 88. Dirty Eric 1500 says, "How do you contain Travis Kelce though?"
I think the better question is, how don't you contain them?
Right.
I'll let you take it.
That's a tough one to call. I mean, we did bring in Corey Littleton for those type of matchups. Mm-hmm. So if Corey Littleton and Kowalski still being in that middle linebacker, Kowalski could not Kowalski, but Corey Littleton could probably come in, and I would say not Kowalski. I would say Corey Littleton would be the only one that could contain him. But he lines up so many ways on offense. Like sometimes you have him on the outside. He plays inside. He plays close to the line. So it really depends on who you have matched up with him, especially if he's on the outside. If he's against a corner, that's 1-on-1 all day. If he's inside, then you might have Corey Littleton might able to contain him, but you just never know.
Yeah, I mean, he plays. Him and Darren Waller play very, very similar. You can use them all over the place. I mean, I saw Darren Waller line up as a wide receiver. I think last game he lined up as a wide receiver, and the analyst even mentioned it. Like, look at this, So he's super dangerous in that way. And yeah, I think you put a linebacker, and I think you put bring in a corner, and if need be to double team him. I mean, that you kind of have to pick your poison on that. Like, what are you going to do? I feel like Trayvon Mullen is good enough to lock down Tyreek Hill. Hopefully, Lawson or somebody else is good enough to lock down the other side of the field, and then you put 2 guys on Kelce and pray that everything works out right, because like I said, it's kind of pick your poison. What do you want to do? And I think Travis Kelce is obviously a threat. So,
okay, so we do have another question from Dirty Eric 1500, and he says, "What about whatever they do to take away?" It says, "What about whatever they do to take Waller away?" If they take Waller away, we have to go to our receivers. It's just that plain and simple. Like, it's simple. Like, I feel like the more healthy our receivers are, the more opportunity Waller gets. Knowing that Waller is the number 1 target, but we have to spread the ball around we just can't just look at Waller. We just can't look at Jacobs. You have to, if Nelson Aguilar has the game that he had last week, or give Zay Jones a little bit more snaps, and then with Ruggs in the game, you're going to have to cover those guys as well. But we just can't focus on Waller when we have other talent around us. So I feel like if they do take away Waller, then you have to get Ruggs involved. You got to get other people involved. You can't force it to Waller. But what you think, Jay?
I mean, to be honest with you, like, they're, looking back at some of the plays and stuff like that, I really don't think, especially in the last game, that they really took Waller away. I feel like he was open a lot, and Carr just missed him. But I think that had a lot to do with the pressure that their defensive line was getting on Carr because of the banged up offensive line that we were dealing with. So Carr is he's not really good at extending plays. He's not really good at extending stuff when things break down. He's not the best at seeing stuff when he's got guys bull rushing him, coming at him. And that's the unfortunate thing. So I think a lot of it has to do on whether or not they can give Carr the time in the pocket and keep his pocket clean for him to find Waller, when it's necessary. But I really don't think that, just like Travis Kelce, I don't think that Waller really is somebody that you can really lock down. You can't stop him from doing everything. You can't shut him down and keep him from from doing it. It's just impossible. He's too good.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's the final question that we're going to take. We already set our predictions for here. We both agree 34-31 Raiders. If Ruggs and Trent Brown is healthy in this game, um, if they're not healthy, then we're in trouble. Then we're in trouble going into Arrowhead. Any final thoughts before we head out today, Jay?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's if our offense plays right and we've got our pieces, it's going to be a high scoring game. So it's going to be a lot of fun, watching it. It's early in the season, so it's not going to be as cold. So, hopefully that'll help us out a little bit. I just want to say, hey, also check out my YouTube channel because, I just joined with you guys, joined this network. So I'm going to be posting some stuff on my own YouTube channel that's under the network. And that's your Raider J77. So go check that out. I'll have some stuff coming up here for you over the next few days to a week. As soon as I start getting things rolling and getting some other content for the network. So
let me see if I could put it in the link in the description so I could tell them to go over and subscribe to the channel over there. Just Raider J77.
Yep.
Is it all together?
It should be.
Because for some reason I put it in on. Is it just Raider or Raiders, like with an S?
Nope, no S. Raider J77.
Let me try to spread it out a little bit and see if it'll come up. No, I don't see it.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll grab it. I'll grab the link and I'll send it to you so you can post it in the community post on your page.
Absolutely, I would definitely do that. Make sure y'all go over and follow him on Twitter as well, which is at Raider J77 too.
At Raider J_J77.
So I will have that in the community post as well to make sure y'all subscribe and follow him on Twitter. You can follow us on social media as well, which is Facebook at the Spotlight Raiders Talk, Instagram Spotlight Raiders Talk, YouTube Spotlight Raiders Talk. So we're like all over social media. And just to let y'all know, if y'all do want to get merch for the Spotlight Raiders Talk, is at spotlightsportsgear.com. If you look on the first page, you'll see that we have hoodies now. We have hats. We have women's hoodies. We have women's t-shirts. We have everything that's coming up for the fall, and you get 15% off your entire purchase. So make sure y'all go over to spotlightsportsgear.com and get the merch for the Spotlight Raiders Talk. And make sure y'all go over and subscribe to the Spotlight Sports Network YouTube channel. The Spotlight Sports Network YouTube channel is a growing channel. We almost at 430 subscribers over there. So I know that y'all just Raiders, but if you want to support me, please support the rest of the team. You'll be seeing his face on there. You'll be seeing other faces on there, especially myself. Your screen displays with a gap. What you mean by that, Dirty Eric 1500? I don't know what you mean by that. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show. It's going to be a great game this weekend against the Kansas City Chiefs. I cannot wait. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully that we can get these players back. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. It is the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and we'll see y'all for Sunday live play-by-play and reactions and the post-game show right after the game on this channel. So thank y'all so much, man, and I holla at y'all. Thank y'all so much for the way things been going for the last 24 hours. But we out of here, y'all.
Peace.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old